This costs almost nothing. You drink what is inside, you drop the can in a bin, and you do not think about it again. But in 1884, the United States government put a piece of this same metal on top of the Washington Monument because it was a precious metal. It cost $1.10 an ounce, which was exactly what silver cost that year. Nothing about the metal changed between then and now. What changed was the bill. Aluminum is not rare. It is the most abundant metal in the Earth's crust, about 8% of everything under your feet. There is more aluminum in an ordinary hillside than there is iron. So the question is not where to find it. The question is why, for almost all of human history, nobody had ever held a piece of it. The answer is oxygen. Iron will sit in the ground as metal, and copper and gold will too, which is why the ancient world had all three. Aluminum never does. It is bound to oxygen everywhere it occurs, and it holds on harder than almost any metal we use. Every rock you have ever seen is, in part, aluminum that has already found what it wanted. Prying it loose took until the 19th century, and the first methods were chemical. You made the metal by spending an even more reactive metal to tear the oxygen away. It worked, and it produced aluminum in useful quantities for the first time, but it was closer to a laboratory operation than an industry. That is why the pyramid on top of the Washington Monument weighed 100 ounces and cost $225. Then, in 1886, two 22-year-olds solved it independently in the same year, on two continents, without knowing about each other. Charles Hall in Ohio and Paul Héroult in France arrived at the same idea. Stop trying to pull the oxygen off with chemistry, and pull it off with electricity instead. Everything you are about to see runs on their answer, still, in every smelter on Earth. It starts as a red rock called bauxite, mined in open pits in the tropics, mostly in Australia, Guinea, China, and Brazil. Bauxite is not a single mineral. It is a weathered soil. What is left after millions of years of rain has washed everything soluble out of the ground and left the aluminum behind, along with the iron that makes it that color. The numbers on that journey are worth holding on to. The United States Geological Survey puts it as a rule of thumb. 4 tons of dried bauxite make 2 tons of alumina, and 2 tons of alumina make 1 ton of aluminum. Everything else, and it is 3/4 of what came out of the pit, is waste, and it has to go somewhere. The first stage is refining, and it is pure chemistry. The crushed bauxite is cooked in hot caustic soda under pressure. Aluminum oxide dissolves into that liquid. Almost nothing else does. The iron, the silica, the titanium, all of it stays solid and sinks, and the aluminum walks out of the rock in solution, leaving the rest behind. What sinks is called red mud, and it is the part of this industry nobody puts in an advertisement. It is caustic, it is enormous, and there is more of it than there is product. It is stored behind dams and ponds you can see from orbit, and when one of those dams fails, as one did in Hungary in 2010, it is a genuine disaster. The clear liquid is cooled and seeded, and aluminum hydroxide crystallizes out of it. That gets heated hard enough to drive the water off, and what is left is alumina, a fine white powder that looks like sugar and pours like sand. It is aluminum and oxygen, and at this point it is still holding on to that oxygen as tightly as ever. Now the problem. To split it with electricity, you have to get it into a liquid, and alumina melts at 2072 degrees Celsius. That is hotter than a steel furnace, for a process that has to run continuously for years without stopping. On its own, it is not economic. It is barely even possible. This is the trick that both of them found. Alumina will dissolve in another molten mineral, cryolite, the way sugar dissolves in water, and that solution is liquid at around 960 degrees, not 2000. The alumina never has to melt at all. It just has to be dissolved in something that already is. The vessel is called a pot, and a smelter has hundreds of them in a line that can run half a kilometer. Each one is a steel box lined with carbon. The carbon lining is the negative electrode. Above it hang the positive electrodes, blocks of baked carbon lowered into the bath. Then the current goes on and stays on. The current is what surprises people. A modern pot line runs on hundreds of thousands of amps at only a handful of volts, and it never switches off. If it does, for long enough, the bath freezes solid and the pot is destroyed and has to be dug out and rebuilt. A smelter is not a factory that runs during the day. It is a thing that must not stop. Inside the bath, the electricity does exactly what the chemistry would not. Oxygen is pulled to the carbon blocks above, and aluminum is pushed down to the carbon floor below, where it collects as a liquid metal pool, because aluminum melts at 660 degrees, and everything here is hotter than that, and the oxygen does not come off as gas and float away. It attacks the carbon blocks above it and leaves as carbon dioxide, which means the positive electrodes are being eaten. A smelter buys carbon anodes continuously and lowers them into the bath as they burn away. The oxygen that was in the rock leaves as part of the electrode that removed it. Every day or so, the metal that has pooled on the floor is siphoned out under vacuum into a crucible, carried away, and cast. If this is the kind of thing you like knowing, subscribe. One ordinary material, taken apart, every week. Now the bill. The United States Department of Energy measured the whole chain step by step. Refining the bauxite into alumina takes 8,660 British thermal units for every pound of metal. Baking the carbon anodes, 744. Casting it at the end, 503. And the electrolysis, the step that actually breaks the bond, takes 23,388. It is not close. Splitting aluminum from oxygen costs more energy than mining the rock, refining the rock, baking the electrodes and casting the metal put together. And most of that is electricity, which is why a smelter is not built where the ore is. It is built where the power is. Iceland smelts aluminum and has no bauxite whatsoever. The ore is shipped thousands of kilometers to reach the electricity, because moving rock to cheap power is cheaper than moving cheap power to rock. Canada, Norway, and Iceland all run on hydroelectricity, and all three smelt far more aluminum than their size would suggest. The same logic works in reverse. In 2024, the United States had 4 primary smelters left, producing 670,000 tons, while the world made 72 million, and China alone made 43 million. Smelting did not move because the geology moved. It moved because the electricity was cheaper somewhere else. So here is the thing worth taking away. What makes aluminum expensive is not the aluminum. It is the energy stored in breaking that bond, and that energy does not disappear when you throw the can away. It stays in the metal because the metal is already separated. It is already done. Melt it back down and you skip everything. No mine, no caustic soda, no red mud, no electrolysis. The same Department of Energy study puts melting and casting scrap at 2,229 British thermal units per pound, against 23,000 for the electrolysis alone. That is where the famous 95% saving comes from, and it is not really about recycling metal. It is about never paying the electricity bill twice. That number has quietly changed the industry. In the same year that America's 4 remaining smelters made 670,000 tons of new aluminum, the country recovered 3.6 million tons from scrap. More than 5 times as much metal came from the bin as came from the pot line. There is one last thing, and it is the part that makes all of this hold together. Aluminum does rust. It oxidizes the instant it meets air, faster than iron does. Cut a fresh face, and it is already reacting before you can look at it. The difference is what the rust does. Iron oxide is bulky and flaky and falls off, exposing fresh iron underneath, which is why a car body dies from the inside out. Aluminum oxide is thin, dense, and stuck fast, a layer a few nanometers thick that seals the surface and stops the reaction. The metal protects itself by corroding once, which closes the loop. The thing that made this metal impossible to obtain for thousands of years, its appetite for oxygen, is the same thing that makes it survive on your window frames for decades. It was never a rare metal that became common. It was a common metal we could not afford to unlock until we found a cheap enough way to spend electricity on it. So, a metal that is everywhere and never free, held by oxygen too tightly for chemistry, dissolved in cryolite so electricity could do the job, paid for in power rather than in ore, and worth melting down forever because that payment is already made. The can in your hand is not cheap metal. It is stored electricity in the shape of a drink. If you enjoyed this, subscribe.